Originally a Slavic settlement, Meissen is a lovely town occupying both banks of the Elbe River, now famous for the production of porcelain. Dominating the city center is the impressive 15th century Albrechtsburg Castle, which was the first castle on German soil to be built as a residence and not a fortress. The Viking group walking towards the Meissen Porcelain Museum factory. The red brick building on the left is the old, but not the oldest, Meissen manufacturing plant. The factory was originally set at the Albrechtsburg Castle in 1710, and it moved to the current location in 1865. Today this factory is a working museum of porcelain. Meissen is famous for its porcelain manufacturing industry. Visitors learn about the history of the production here and also learn how porcelain is made with visual demonstrations. There are also rooms full of all kinds of porcelain items on display and a souvenir shop.
Now the cup has to remain within the mold for at least half an hour, so that the plaster of which it's made is able to extract enough water from the porcelain body. Then the shrunken cup can easily be taken out of the mold. The cup's base and handle are made in the same fashion. For assembling these parts, porcelain stick is being used as an adhesive. For cups with rough edges, half an hour. Those workers in charge of assembling the different parts of a figurine are known in Germany as Porcelain, and in English-speaking countries as repairers. The term Porcelain has its origins in stone masonry and defines the technique of working out the rough outlines of the sculpture. Later, the term has become widely used and is used here. As we've already explained, at the period of drying, the porcelain is subjected to a first light firing to be fired. Since these colors must stand the heat of the following second firing at more than 1400 degrees, they need to have a specific resistance. One of the most famous underglaze color used at Meissen is the cobalt blue, discovered in the 18th century. From around 1739 onwards, the color has become a stock decoration, particularly for the renowned Meissen onion pattern. The pattern takes its name from what our can see at plate. Today, about 50 porcelain factories worldwide have variations of the pattern on offer. Smooth fire for some 36 hours in the gas-heated kiln, which you can see on the photograph. Would you please go to the next room now? Thanks to the genius of Johann Gregorius Herold, who worked at the factory from 1720 to 1765 as a decorator and chemist, the Meissen manufacturer was able to set the trend of porcelain painting in the 18th century. For example, appears as a pale brown before firing, as you can see from the showroom.
Gentleman cup. Hast du einen Cognac in your or a lady cup?
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you.
Display of Meissen porcelain china on a grand table. This beautiful finger bowl brings a splash of color to each setting. Chocolate pot, bottle painting. Wall plate. Hang with chicken as tureen. Stands for different countries displaying items related to their history. The collector. Chicken unique copies. The extraordinary architecture of Albrechtsburg Castle, a stroke of genius. Unlike other major projects in their time, the Meissen Palace did not emerge over many building stages, but as a holistic design of a master builder genius, Arnold von Westphalen. New shapes and techniques were applied here for the first time in the 15th century and developed to perfection up to our day. The complex as a whole, as well as fine details, have amazed the visitors.
Du liegst mir im Herzen, du liegst mir im Sinn, du machst mir viel Schmerzen, weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Ja, weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin.
The castle is seen from the Domplatz Cathedral Square. A sundial clock on the wall. A jester perched high on the roof. Towering over the town is the Gothic-style dome cathedral, one of the smallest cathedrals in Germany, built between 1260 and 1450. Until the year 1400, the bishops of the Diocese of Meissen had their seat next to the cathedral. Later, Saxon rulers were buried here, the first in 1426. The cathedral has been Protestant since the 16th century. Inside are works of art including the painting by Lucas Cranach the Elder, along with rare Meissen porcelain. Unfortunately, we did not have the time to see its interior.
Machst mir viel Schmerzen, weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Ja, ja, ja.
Close-up pictures of nice details adorning the facade of the cathedral. Buildings facing the cathedral square. Buildings around St. Afra courtyard. St. Afra's church is the oldest one in Meissen and is located on the castle hill. Meissen is such a pretty town, like out of a fairy tale book. Beautiful Baroque portal, Rosita and the tour guide are using the seats on either side of it. This is what we found behind the Baroque portal. Rooftop views of the old section of Meissen. The tower of the Church of Our Lady. Warm and useful signs. One welcomes you and the other one wishes you a good trip. Impressive gateway to the castle and cathedral. Walking along the narrow but charming walkways in Meissen.
Yo me quité el audífono porque no lo aguanto.
Then we made it to the bottom of the hill, and Ove lost his mind when he saw all the wonderful pastries waiting for him. The Church of Our Lady was built next to the market square in Meissen. It took some 60 years to build, from 1460 to 1520. A set of porcelain bells was the first of its kind anywhere when installed in 1929. Meissen's town hall sits in the market square. It was built in 1472 in a late Gothic style and is one of the oldest in Saxony. It has a large red roof with 52,000 tiles and 3 ornamental dormers. Buildings facing the market square. Nice details of the Hirsch House building. Next to the red door there is a line showing how high the Elbe rose on August 17, 2002. Visiting the Meissen Museum, I happened to see this picture and I fell in love with it. I asked a salesperson if I could buy it, and she said no. Later in the day, as we were walking around town square, I saw the card at a souvenir shop and I bought it, and so here it is as part of my travelogue. A Meissen story by popular opinion. There once was a boy called Klaus. Where there was something to see, he was there. For weddings and funerals and the christening feast in the carnival crowds. You could see that he was poor by the clothes he was wearing. Today the elector comes to Meissen, a gossipy neighbor told his mother that morning. And yes, even the council members who walked to the town hall wearing their finest jewelry, and at beat of the drums the bailiffs waved all the way from the Elgasse to the Bruckentor. Klaus thought, too bad I could not be present at the arrival of the elector. I have never missed a celebration. Too bad I have to take care of my mother's geese. Klaus thought for a long time, but nothing good occurred to him. The trumpets were blowing and the flags were flapping in the wind. All of a sudden a carriage came rumbling over the bridge. This must be the elector. Clever Klaus had a wonderful idea. With a firm grip he grabbed the geese, squeezed their necks under his leather belt, and started pushing his way through the dense crowd of spectators. He had finally made it. He was in the front row. What he saw was much nicer than anything in his wildest dreams. Even the geese were amazed. Wonderful indeed. They had never seen such a thing too. The arrival ceremony was over. The sound of the last trumpet faded away in the summer wind. The crowd dispersed. Klaus was tired from too much looking, and probably the geese were too. They were so strangely silent and bowed their heads. Dead, they were hung on his belt, choked miserably. Their glassy eyes stared accusingly at the boy. Klaus crouched behind the ears until they hurt. When he got home, he had to face his mother. His face was long and longer. Spectators gathered and made fun of him. Look at him, just as he stands, this stupid boy of Meissen. A few years later no one laughed about it. Not about the poor boy and not about the dead geese. The elector had him called to his court. He had realized that Klaus was not a stupid boy, but a funny guy, whose clever answers made him laugh. Since then, Klaus lived a merry life as the courts jester. These events have been tied to Meissen by popular opinion, but the historical facts are different. Before the spectacular sailing into Dresden, we enjoyed a nice dinner on board. After dinner, we all went to the sun deck to enjoy the pretty views as we sailed towards Dresden.
Machst mir viel Schmerzen, weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Ja, 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 weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin.